Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. This is basically the ninth number part of advanced. So here basically one of the person basically asked the question that each and every objects of the India basically. For example, in India basically there are around 1 lakh commercial complex, 1 lakh pools, 1 lakh uh, software companies, 1 lakh residential company, 1 lakh residential house. So each basically derives what basically they are basically into into if condition, they are into the while condition, they are into what basically. For example, we will take one example. India basically L&T is the company basically which has software company also, and they know that basically if condition is there, while conditions are there, but they don't have the proper address basically. They know that basically they are working for this only basically for software industry, but here the main is they are not aware about the places, whether the pool is, for example, in Vadodara city basically around more than 55 pools basically are there. So all pools basically are what connecting to what basically they are connecting to if condition, they are connecting to the while condition, they are connecting to for loop, they are connecting to what basically. So one person told that that's very difficult to tell basically. Why? Because even basically the government basically don't know that this basically is if condition for loop, but they know the story basically because government is only connected with the stories, but that story is equal to if condition, while condition, for loop, these are everything basically. So they are basically not supposed to, but they should know basically that this is basically connecting to the software industry, because everything basically you can't able to grasp basically. Your capacity basically is up to certain level only basically. You can't basically have the everything basically in your brain basically. Otherwise basically it will create problem in your life basically. So that's why basically one field mastery is basically must basically. One field mastery is must. So political group basically are aware about the stories basically. This is the story, that is the story, this is the story, that is the story. That's all basically. They are not supposed to aware about if condition, while condition, this, that. So one person basically asks the question basically, if condition, while condition, that basically gets hijacked also, right? You will not able to believe basically. Lots of PCs hardware basically also gets hijacked basically. Up to that level basically also stuff basically happens. So that basically is also one of the stuff that is basically hijacked in the particular place. So that place is going to suffer basically in future basically. That place basically is going to suffer in future, and from place basically will also might get suffer basically in future basically. So that basically is not our point. We are just discussing the user controls. For example, user controls basically are created from 10,000 cities. If by chance basically 10,000 city will not pass the power supply to the world basically, then not a single user control will get display basically. But one of the person told that this was ever been tested basically. I don't think basically this might have been tested basically in the entire life basically. Assume that basically there are 500 cities who are giving the for loop, and that for loop basically is having some business logic, filtering the certain level of data. But due to some reason, basically 500 cities was not able to pass the data. That is the power supply. So due to that, basically the for loop basically was not executed in runtime through power supply. At that time, basically when the client was executing the website, That time the server basically was getting the power supply. That data basically was not coming off this 500 cities. So due to that basically the error basically came, and error was logical error basically. The data which was supposed to be filtered, that also basically came into picture basically. So one of the person told the either bot dangerous, it's very dangerous. So basically execution basically nowadays basically execution, live execution is very dangerous basically. So instead of that basically execute the stuff, dump into hardware, check the stuff, and then basically go with the live data basically, because it's dangerous stuff basically. Sometimes basically for loop gets hijacked basically. You will not able to believe while loop gets hijacked basically. So as if that basically bank is doing some software programming, they basically got some problem with World Bank basically. So World Bank have the authority basically. They can basically hijack the for loop, while loop basically. So in this World Bank will not suffer, the bank will suffer basically. So that's very dangerous stuff basically. You have to keep the relationship with each and every people basically. If you are into the banking industry, then you have to keep relationship with World Bank basically. Whether whatever basically World Bank say that basically in World Bank basically fuck basically is the normal word basically. You fuck off. These all are the normal words basically in Microsoft also basically. You fuck off, come here basically. So these all are the normal words basically in Microsoft industry, World Bank because they are doing up to what level? Because they are getting payment how much basically? 100 crore, 200 crore payment basically they are getting. So you can just imagine basically 100 crore, 200 crore is too much amount basically per month, that also basically. So you can just imagine basically 100 crore, 200 crore means it's a huge money basically. In 100 crore basically Vadodara people basically can pay the light bill, pay the tax also basically for the entire city basically. Then they can basically have the salary of their government employees basically in 100 crore basically. So that much salary basically World Bank single normal employee basically gets as a salary. So that's why one of the person told that if loop, while loop, the if conditions, while condition, for loop, this all basically has not been converted into products basically. They might have been converted into product basically because, or basically they might not be also basically. That is also possibilities are there basically. So that also basically need to check whether the really basically the products basically has been converted into, for example, if conditions is there, right basically. If condition is created by 1500 cities, so that has been, cities has converted into, sorry, the cities has been created on the base of certain level of products. But here the stuff is this if condition basically is connected with now to 1500 cities. So that if condition basically has been converted into product, that might not be. Why? Because this was not tested also basically. Then how basically this might be have been converted to products basically. So this is 100% not converted into product. So that basically the World Bank basically have to do that basically. That is basically the World Bank. So one of the person told that there is no one basically who might be checking the World Bank products basically, because World Bank products are supposed to be checked basically which type of product is required. So analysis basically. So one of the person told that might be there, yeah, basically team might be there basically. That might be IITs, IIM, because normal people basically can't work in World Bank basically. Normal person basically can't work. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.